Well, hey, welcome to the Culture Strategy. My name is Vin Zeeland, and I'm excited today to be a part of this conversation with Mr. Foster Williams. We are going to go through the 7 pillars of culture. The purpose for this conversation is to have a dialogue about business and culture and how to connect them. So the first 7 topics are putting people first, authentic leadership, open communication, building trust, healthy conflict, ability to pivot or being adaptive, and organizational resilience or overcoming change. So I want to welcome you, Foster, to the Culture Strategy. I appreciate you taking your time out of your day. And I know you're busy, Mr. Job Father.
We're all busy.
We're all busy.
All this technology.
All those executives just running around crazy doing business, and you're one of them.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Glad to serve.
Great. Well, hey, Foster, fun question.
Oh, I love those.
Well, first of all, why don't you tell us about yourself before we get into the questions? Tell us about who you are, what you do, and how you serve people.
I am from McGregor, Texas, home of the Bulldogs. Now, my dad was a pastor, so people and serving people have been my whole life. I got into corporate America in the talent acquisition space. We were recruiters back in the day, but we're talent acquisition now. And so I've been in that space for a while, moved into leadership there for a number of real big companies, these IBMs and Verizons and people like that. And I've always been in that space of where we had massive people to hire, a lot of executives, and I lead recruiting staffs of gigantic recruiting staffs.
Awesome. And you have a radio show?
Yeah.
All right.
So everybody calls me the Job Father. As, when you've been around a while, you get nicknames. And so I am the Job Father, I guess. And there is very little about getting a job that our network that we put together to help job seekers find out what they need to find out about to get the right kind of job. We're talking about careers. We're not talking about just a job.
Right.
And we want to help people get to the right place, meet the right people like Vin along the way, get whatever information needs to be gotten. We have a radio show called the Job Father Job Seeker Network Radio, and we use that amongst many, many other tools that we use, career management groups, all of that sort of thing, in order to get this information to the people that have gotten laid off, mostly have been laid off. Some people decide, I don't like my boss anymore. It's usually about the boss guys and not the company.
And that's an interesting point. That was the whole purpose of the Culture Strategy, because, I'm familiar with having couple of good managers and mostly familiar with not so good. But I won't tear them down. I just want to build them up and help them to become better people, right? That's the whole point. So, fun question. What is the funniest corporate or business screw up you have ever heard or witnessed?
Oh.
Because I love stories.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm usually good for that.
All right.
So I was at a very reputable talent acquisition, a recruitment process outsourcing company that if I were to say the name, you all guys would be like, oh, yeah, we know those guys. Well, the funny thing was, because I'm from Texas and I've got this crazy Texas accent that a lot of you guys are probably picking up right now, we had an engagement with a company out of London. Oh, were they in London? Yes, they're UK. And they heard my Texas accent and they had the feeling that people from the South were not completely there, we're not the sharpest people in the world with the yeehaw with us, and that is actually me.
It's dusty.
But and they asked my boss to take me off of the project because of my accent, and I wasn't supposed to know that, but when you know everybody, you hear about everything.
Oh yeah, sure.
So later on, they were not able to find the engineers. We were looking for some pretty stealthy engineers to hire for this company. They were in the avionics field. And what happened was I said, you know what? I'm a Formula One race fan. if I can get some of those engineers from there, that'd probably correlate with the with
Sure.
avionics, with all the telemetry
Right.
and stuff that are in those cars.
Right.
And it was oh man, it was a success. And they're like, who is finding all these people? And of course, I was kicked off project. I'm not supposed to be helping, right?
Right.
And so they found that it was me and they invited me to the meeting, and my bosses were all ticked off. Oh my goodness, this guy, you when Foster shows up and he starts talking, I'm gonna get embarrassed. And they're like, it was you. Didn't we ask you off this project? And
That's right.
I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to know that, but yeah, you guys did.
Yeah.
And so I said, guys, don't whatever you do, and goes back to what I learned as a kid. Don't judge a book by its cover.
And there you go.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome.
So I had a good time with that.
Good story.
Mm-hmm.
How fun. So this is a question that I ask all my guests. And I feel in the world of business, this is the most important question. Now, most companies and leaders will say, what's your bottom line? How much you making? Blah, blah. That's the important question to leaders. But I think there's one important question that everybody overlooks. I don't care what position you're in, but that's culture.
Mm-hmm.
Why is culture important to business?
Well, you know what? We're in excess of 7 billion people on this planet now, right?
Yeah.
I think the original design was for us to be able to get together, and get along with each other but somewhere business took on this methodology of competition and all that stuff instead of us working together. And I always managed, because there was a time I had almost 100 recruiters that worked for me in 3 countries. We had to work together on things, and because we
Sure.
worked together and we worked as part of it, I never said anybody worked for me or I was some boss. I was part
Right.
of the deal,
Yeah. It was a collaborative effort, right?
Yeah. So we're missing that in corporate America, and some of our hiring is a little too mechanical for me. Mm-hmm. I'm a people person. God made me to be that, and that's just who I am. So I'm not going to understand a lot of things that get overlooked. So we really need that. We need that connection, that people connection.
It's one of my favorite words, connecting, right? Absolutely. That's great. So elaborate a little bit more about too mechanical. Is it the technology? Is it the way people communicate, or lack of communication? Is it the silos? Like what's your perspective, your
I
view?
love the technology, but it's a matter of how we use it.
Yeah.
So if I were to own a Lamborghini, I would look cool. But you know what? The value of Foster, how he drives that Lamborghini would matter. So we as people, guys, we need to connect and do those things. And everybody has gifts. Everybody's good at something. So managers, I want y'all to hear me. If you are managing people, find out what those gifts are. Find out what they're good at. Let them weave that into whatever it is that they're doing. And the technology is wonderful. We're so busy. We barely 24 hours is not enough time in a day. And
Right.
so,
Yeah.
we've got to get down to the nitty gritty where we can put the value in it and we can connect and make sense of things.
Right.
And sometimes it takes even a little bit more time, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But if we're running behind technology, we're taking shortcuts. We're missing the connection that you and I have.
Right. So that brings up a really good point. So technology helps us to get things done,
Yeah.
but people operate the technology. So as a recruiter and human resources or talent acquisition, whatever you want to call it, could be people and culture. You can rubber stamp and put a label on it, whatever you want. It's still the same thing. You are hiring people. What is it about companies when they hire them and then they go to an operational perspective rather than a strategic perspective, where they're micromanaging? You interviewed, you hired them, you're supposed to trust them. What changes after the hiring?
We get involved in too many methodologies. We're going to do it this way. That may not be the best way
Right.
for us to operate in doing this project, because everything's a project these days, right? And people are involved with that. So if it becomes a mechanical, we're missing the strength of the person.
Right.
And a lot of managers run past that, and we got deadlines and we got all this stuff, but we really want that value.
Right.
Guys, we really want the value in companies when we're offering services to our clients. If we don't have that value, number one, we're probably not going to have them as a client. Number two, we've got to retain them once we get them. Some of those companies I work for, are y'all listening to me?
Right.
So these are the things that when I mention it being mechanical, I love the technology. Technology helps you get to the information that you need to do, but you need to figure out how to apply that, and it needs to be in a caring fashion. People are going to be involved, and you need to bring those people in, because if you got a happy worker, a happy employee, that thinks he is making a difference, she is making a difference, they're going to stay with you.
That's
We
right.
got this thing that Vin and I are probably going to touch on. Me and Vin have had some conversations in the past, right?
We have.
And we're probably going to talk about that retaining and why people leave companies and why, all that kind of thing.
Right.
You're losing. You are a wonderful connector. And if you and I were working together in the same group or whatever it is,
Yeah.
I'd hate to lose you, man. But I've got to do something to keep you there. And the only thing that's going to keep you there is if I know what you like.
Wait, it's money? No, is it money? No.
It kind of goes a little bit beyond
It's
money.
a little bit beyond money. And that brings up a good point, right? So, of course, we all go to jobs to make money.
Mm-hmm.
But we spend 8, 10, 12, sometimes 16 hours a day doing our job, especially if we're buried in our work. And we spend more time there with the people that we work with, but we're not connected, and then we get beat down and dragged through the mud, and then we go home, and then what happens? There's all kinds of...
We get home and people say, "Who are you?"
Right.
You've been working 12 to 13 hours a day, and the kids have got soccer. If they're smart, they got soccer. And we got football on another one of my sports.
There you go.
And, there are things in life that children need to have their parents to be a part of, guys. Not just somebody just showing up and yelling, but a part of, to get that family dynamic together. That is really what's most important in the world, is that family dynamic, friendship dynamic. These are the things that make us stay or not stay at our jobs.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Y'all got me on my soapbox.
Hey, I like soapboxes. So, All right. So, as a job father, if you could be CEO of any business other than the one you're running, what company and why?
NASA. I'm a nerd, you guys, and space is me. In fact, I've done a little bit of work with a lot of those guys in the past, contracts and those kind of things. I like that nerdy kind of stuff. I love space travel. I love space discoveries, and the James Webb Space Telescope is new, and we're learning things that we thought before, and we got a little bit more technology to show us a little bit more, so we were wrong about that. Sorry. And those are the things that I like. So it would be something NASA related.
Something NASA related. That's cool.
European Space Administration. I don't want to forget ESA. I hadn't forgot you guys.
Oh, well, hopefully it gets over. This gets over to Europe,
It
right?
will. It will.
Right on. Right on. So we talked a little bit about culture, but as the job father, and over the years, you've been at this a long time. What shifts or trends have you seen with people in transition? Because that's what you do, right? Specifically with the longevity of the job and career changes. What trends? I mean, you have served hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. What trends are you seeing? And are they good?
Well, yeah, a lot of times in innovation and new things that we do, they're new. Because like right now, we've got jobs now that we didn't even have back in the Mesozoic era when I started recruiting. Y'all don't tell nobody that.
The megalithic era.
Eons ago.
Eons,
But
right
there has been a wedge driven in between interpersonal relationships. That is where the meat of the matter gets done. If Vin doesn't like me, Vin's not going to want to work with me. I got to treat Vin like I'm sure there's some things that Vin likes that I like as well. We collaborate on those things. We build a relationship. The number one thing that I tell this network that we have built is in 35 states now, and it's probably, Lord knows how many people. We're at
Yeah.
200,000 active job seekers just right here in Dallas.
Wow.
And so, given all the major cities and the groups and the activities we have to support all of that, the one thing that we need to do more of is more interpersonal stuff, because people lose interest in their companies. I'm doing stuff that I'm interested in, but if I'm working in that company and this guy over here doesn't like me and this one over here has got a problem and
Right.
everybody's gossiping about this and that, I'm gonna get out of here. I like the work,
all
but
the drama, right?
gotta go.
Yeah. So Gallup, I mean, I love Gallup. I think all their research is fascinating. Being a trained psychologist and weeding through all that data, I love other people doing the research for me, right? But it's interesting because they say that 1 out of 2 people leave their company not because of the job or the company itself. They leave because of their manager.
There it is.
You know, and when I first saw that, I was astounded, and I say, well, so then I asked the next obvious question: what about the other 50%? Are they miserable, and are they just buckling down? And I think the data shows that 70% or more of the people that have been in long-term jobs are miserable. They're just there to collect a paycheck.
Yep.
Which is really frightening. Because
That's one thing we got a lot more of now.
Right.
In 2023 than we did back in, well, I won't say.
How far back do you want to go?
We're going back a while.
Right. So what advice would you give company executives or managers regarding their leadership? I know you touched on it before, but take a deeper dive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take time, managers, guys, take time to get to know why you hired these people. Okay, you're the one that hired them, right? So there were some things that you thought of in that interview process that you thought you might wanted to tap into for the whatever functionality you're hiring Vin to do. Give Vin the time that he needs. You got to spend a little bit extra time. If you're a manager, you got to spend some time that is outside of what the corporation says we need to do and all that stuff. But spend time to get to know Vin or whoever it is that works for you. Find out what excites them. Dig into why, because there will be some stuff there that they know that has not been used before. And if you take advantage of that, and that came from that person, that's going to excite them anyway. It gives them an opportunity to see that they're making a difference. You managers, if you are not aiding your employees to do that kind of thing and make them feel like they are adding value to what we're doing, guess what? Wendy's got a company and she's going to pay me $20,000 more. You guys are going to meet Wendy later.
For sure.
And I'm out of here, boy.
There you go. Yeah, that's really good advice. Getting to know your people. Why bring them in and just treat them like they're, just a tool, right? They're human. They have heart. Bring the soul into the job.
And experience.
Right.
You're hiring them because they have experience doing what what you're doing, what the functionality. Well, they've done that same thing in other companies that did it in different ways. So there are things that these people are picking up that if you encourage them, they will bring out some of these things that you never even thought about, and you'll be able to put it into use in your company and increase your own value.
There you
Come
go.
on, guys.
Right. It's been stated that within the Gallup studies that those companies of the Fortune 500 companies that are using a strengths-based approach where they're really investing into their people, really investing into their culture, they can see somewhere up into about a 30% increase in performance, even I think is even as high as like 36% or something like that. Those are really crazy numbers. I mean, can you imagine if every business in the United States, look at how wealthy we are as a nation, and if every company decided to invest into their people and really engage them, train them well, give them all the tools, all of a sudden you'd see just a boom. Nobody would have to be laid off, or at least very few, right?
And we could exceed that 30% if we would let it flow. If we really take the time to build a relationship
Yeah, for sure.
with the people, it'll go beyond what the corporations have told us. We need to test them for this, and we need to apply this that we learned in the testing process. Of y'all come on, son, get to know your people, and you will know, and they will prove that they know something that you don't. Don't be afraid. If we're a team, let's be a team. Let's be the better team that's going to give a better value.
Right, right. So now that you've given managers and leaders advice, and I consider leaders anyone. It can be any position. I think leadership is all dependent on what you're doing in your life to show that you're responsible, that you're connected, and you could be higher up. You could be a CEO and not be a good leader.
And not be exactly.
But you could be a frontline worker and be a great leader. And I've met a lot, a lot of people. They're just, just in the wrong position.
You said a key word. There's a big difference. There's a gulf of difference between a boss and a leader. Be a leader. Try it
Be a
out.
leader. There you go. There you go. People might like you more.
Man.
Right? All right. So
I got fired. No.
what advice would you give a worker who is dissatisfied with the job and they feel trapped in their job?
I talk to job seekers, hundreds each week, about this very thing, and they feel trapped. And I ask them to look at it different. I ask them to do some of the things that we're asking the management to do. Take the time to go in those areas that you need to go. If you are the expert in a certain thing and you're performing a function at a company, there's some things outside of that functionality that this is a little different. Don't be afraid to apply that.
Right.
Go outside. Do those things that will end up in a situation where you are adding value that wasn't at that company before. We can all do things better, y'all, but those are intrinsic. I call them intangible things, part of who we are as people that will get those things done.
It's funny that you bring that up because I have worked with a lot of frontline people, hundreds. I've coached and trained hundreds over many, many years in my career. Sales, real estate, you name it, all, construction. And the one thing that I noticed, you can have one amazing conversation, learn something from that person, and now you've added to your value in knowledge. They see something, and it all just came through one conversation, and it actually had helped the business turn a corner. And it's just fascinating. And I have seen companies who have squelched talent.
Yeah.
They have squelched talent, and they're like, no, we don't want to hear about that. No, go away. I'm too busy. I'm reading my emails, or I've got a pile of voicemails that I've got to call back. Right?
Yeah. The things.
Right. I've got YouTube videos to watch.
Yeah. I never made my metrics. I would always get beat down about my metrics, but then I would be able to go through the leaderboard and performance, and I'm up here because I took the time to do what I'm telling you guys about. It's just part of me. I hadn't gotten smart and figured all this stuff out. This is just who I am as a person. It just happens to work.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, let's close with a story. One last question. What's your favorite story where you helped someone land the right job at the right company?
Man, that's good. That's really good. I think that one of them started today. So there's a company, not calling any name because I don't want you guys to get me for slander, right? There was a client company that called this job seeker that I'm helping and said, hey, we want to bring you in for this functionality. You're available for a job. This will be a contract. It won't be a permanent job, but it could turn into later on according to how things are, We'll try you before we buy you,
Right,
Test drive the Corvette.
Right.
And so, so there are two companies, very well-known companies locally, that this client company uses to bring people in. for a for whatever it is that they're going to do. Sometimes for full-time hires, sometimes a lot of times for the contract stuff.
Okay.
Well, for some reason, the rate, this lady brings a lot of power and her rate is a little bit higher, but this company was not able to make the kind of money they can bringing somebody in at a lesser rate. They got more of a margin and they make more money, and they're kind of ghosting this lady. And I said, I'm not feeling this, but I have one of the leaders of this company that you're talking about as a buddy of mine.
There you go.
And I said, let's just dig into this thing and see. So I called him and I said, hey, I think we might be missing the boat here. Does this lady, I shared the LinkedIn profile, does this lady look familiar? Is there some story there that I don't know anything about, because I'm only getting her story right now?
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh my goodness, look at this lady's background. I said, I know.
Right.
And I said, listen, your client called. Oh, it's an easy situation for an RPO company. Go. Your client called this lady on her own. Out of, you guys didn't call her. The client called. The client wants her. They want to hire her on a contract, and all they need is you guys to
approve it.
Oh my God, it's a giveaway.
Right.
But because this company is thinking money and it's thinking so restricted, they were about to lose the opportunity with their client.
Right. So looking down the pipe, right, rather than seeing the big picture.
So my buddy called her about an hour ago, had a good talk with her. They're bringing her in. They're going to try to work this thing out. She's going to have a higher rate, but still, she's representing this company.
Yeah.
And this lady is dynamite. Where's JJ? You're not old enough to remember that, did you?
No, actually, J.J. Walker.
J.J. Walker,
I know,
right.
Dynamite.
Dynamite.
Yeah, right on.
So I think we're gonna end up with a win that could have been passed through because of, I don't know what you call that stuff, red tape. Come on, money.
Oh, red tape?
Red tape, money, whatever. You guys almost missed an opportunity there.
Right.
But anyway.
There you go. Well, good.
So that's a good story that I can share. I hope it works.
Right on.
I hope I can come back on a later date and say, hey, this lady got hired.
Right on. So, Foster, we're at the end of our episode here.
Okay.
Why don't you just take a half a minute and describe where you can be found, where our listeners can connect with you, maybe ask you some questions. If they're looking for a job or they're a leader who says, hey, you know what, I really appreciate that. We want to get connected and you're a good resource. Tell them about where they can find you and what you do.
Always, guys, you can find me on LinkedIn, Foster Williams. You'll know if you have, there's not too many Foster Williams to start with, but if you find one that says the job father, that'll be me, and you'll have this face looking funny at you. I took a funny looking picture on LinkedIn. But guys, my number is 214-728-6930. I am here to help. That's what I was birthed for. That's what I'm here. I'm not ashamed to give you all my phone number because I want you to link in with me, and I want you to give me a call because there are a lot of challenges in corporate America that really don't need to be there a lot of times. And because I've helped thousands of people all over the planet actually land jobs in the very companies that you guys are looking to go to work for, sometimes that hiring manager is out of our network. You hear me? A lot of times the hiring manager is out of our network. So I have had an opportunity to build a relationship with a Vin Diesel. Oh my God!
Oh yeah, I wish.
Vin Vanderwell. But guys, it's Vin Zeeland.
Vin Zeeland. There you go.
I have had the opportunity to build a relationship with Vin, and if Vin gets to a point that he's going to hire somebody, oh Foster, this person looks like they're out of what network? Do you know this person? The first thing that Vin talked about at the beginning of this show was who you know. But it's more important who knows you. So if I can go to Vin and say, hey, I know this Wendy Winkler lady, and she is absolutely, my God, she was years and years she worked at, I think it was Ericsson.
Yeah.
And, it's better if somebody else talks about you than you talk about yourself. If you need a job, of course, I'm going to tell you everything you want to hear to hire me. But if Vin, and you have a relationship with Vin, and Vin tells you Foster's the best thing going, Wendy's the best thing going, you're going to listen.
There you go. Awesome. Well, Foster, I appreciate your time.
Thanks for giving me time. I got
know
a big
you're
mouth, man.
you're a busy guy.
I talk for a living.
Hey, I get it. So do I. Right on.
Yeah, we got it.
All right. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us at the Culture Strategy. We have a lot of great episodes, great seasons coming together with people talking about what's most important to you, which is your job. It's your life, right? And it's your culture. So let's connect, and I look forward to the next time.
Yeah, go Bruins.
Welcome to Threadpool. We're an all-inclusive podcast factory. Podcast made easy. We operate with a done-for-you approach. If you have a great podcast concept, we can help make it a reality. In less than 8 weeks, we can have your amazing podcast fully produced, making you ready to share your podcast worldwide on all of the major podcast streaming platforms. Book a coaching session to see how we can work with you. We are Threadpool, revealing greatness.